And welcome to another Cardinals Nest. This is the show where we talk St. Mary's University athletics. I'm Dean Beckman, the faculty athletics representative for the Cardinals. Donny Nadeau is our sports information director. We are coming to you from Aquinas Hall, the Jerry and Pat Pappenfuss Multimedia Lab on the campus of St. Mary's University. And Donny, a little bit more formal sportscaster look today, right?
We have a table. We were told that we should have a table by an alum who watches the show, and so we thought we'd try it out. And
so, Joe, you got to tell us what you think of the guests.
Because we know you're watching, Joe. You're one of our few viewers, but Joe, you got to let us know what you think.
So today it's just going to be me and Donny as we're going to talk about St. Mary's athletics, the winter sports first, and then we'll kind of do a recap since we're coming up on the holiday season. We'll do a recap of kind of this entire semester because this will be the last show before we get into Christmas and New Year's. Donny.
Yeah, and I'm having a little trouble wrapping my head around the fact that as we're taping this, there are severe thunderstorm warnings in the Winona area. I've been doing this for 27 years. I never have had a men's basketball game postponed because of rain.
Thunderstorms.
Sure snow, but never rain. So today is an interesting day for us here as we kind of hunker down with the possibility of some severe weather. Men's basketball was supposed to play UW lacrosse tonight. That got canceled. And so we are heading into the Christmas break in terms of athletic action. So no game tonight, so nothing to talk about in terms of coming up.
Right, and in all seriousness, we can joke about that, but after what Kentucky has faced, they're making the right decision.
Absolutely.
Because these sound like potentially nasty storms.
Yeah,
and whether they will be or not, you just can't take the chance.
It's one of those things, and we, in the winter, you always learn to be careful with the snow and the ice, but when you start talking about a thunderstorm and possible tornadoes, you certainly don't want to be fooling around and taking any chances, especially when you've got other people that you have to look out for. You've got our athletes, our students. We need to make sure everybody is safe, and canceling a game is probably a much more safe approach than risking lives. Even lacrosse coming up here, having to drive back home. So I think they certainly made the right decision.
Yeah, and no question about it. So let's get into the winter sports now, Donny, and men's hockey action. Their final game before winter break did not go as Coach Egan had planned or wanted it to, as they traveled to Milwaukee School of Engineering. And you can see there it was a 6-0 loss, and that's not the way that Egan wanted to go into break.
No, Coach Egan was not very happy with that performance, and I wasn't there. I did watch it online, and it did feel a little bit like maybe they had already started Christmas break and kind of showed up to just show up. It was not one of their better performances, and I know that Coach Egan is one that. It's a game that he's ready to put aside, let the guys focus on finals coming up here in the next couple of days, and then get ready for St. Scholastica at the beginning of the new year. They've got kind of an extended break here in that they don't play again until they've got St. Scholastica on the 7th and 8th here at St. Mary's, which is nice to see. But so they've got an extended break where they don't play any games. They'll come back on the 2nd of January and get ready for St. Scholastica. Then they've got 2 non-conference games on the road against Stout and River Falls. Those will be the last 2 non-conference games of the season, and then it's all conference from there. So I look at it as it's a very important 2 games that they play against St. Scholastica, and then they've got those 2 to fine-tune things and get ready for the push in terms of the conference.
Well, and as we look at their statistics as we hit the break here, their point leader is Matt Hutton, and he's done a great job up to this point with 8 total points.
Yeah, newcomer to the Cardinal program is greatly a pleasant surprise. Maybe not a surprise to Coach Egan and the coaching staff, but certainly to those of us who hadn't seen Matt play before this year. But 4 goals, 4 assists. And I think we've talked about this the last time we talked about the men's program, and I still think that one of the things that is really helping them is the way they're able to spread their offense around. They have yet to have a guy score more than 1 goal in a game, which is really, after 11 games is really kind of odd to not have somebody score 2 goals in a game. So they're getting production from a lot of different people, and that's important, as you start getting into the heat of the conference battle. teams aren't going to know who to focus on because you can go to just about anybody and get point production. Bud Winter's having a great start to the season, and then you look at Ryan Stoyanich has been battling a shoulder injury, but has just been a phenomenal leader and somebody that Coach Egan can count on to score when they need it. And our 2 freshman goalies are really starting to step up and kind of get over the hump of getting used to conference play, getting used to college hockey, and are doing a very good job. Matt Sankner had 35 saves against MSOE. That ties his career high, so he's really kind of settling in as the number 1 right now. But it's it's a battle every time they go out. There's going to be a fight for that number 1 goalie position, and I think that's good that Coach Egan has 2 people that he can kind of count on and let them battle it out and see who the number 1's going to be as they get into that conference and kind of run with that goalie down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you talked about the depth of their scoring. They have 4 different players with 7 points, Bud Winter being one of them, and yeah, it's been a very deep team this year. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and that's what you need.
Yeah.
You know, because you look at when Ryan got injured. He's not in the lineup. Somebody's got to step in, and that's really kind of what's happening. Is as they always say, next man up. If somebody's not in the lineup, then somebody else has to step up there and do the job. And so far, Coach Egan's been able to do that. He's been able to shuffle his lines, and I think he's still looking for that cohesive 12 forward group. I don't think he's quite found that yet, and so he's still mixing things up and kind of seeing how players play together. It's a young squad.
Yeah.
And so, it takes a little time. And I know that we get into second semester, time is going to start running out, and they need to get things figured out. And I know that, hopefully they learned something from that MSOE game. And if nothing else, it's you can't just show up. You've got to play. And no matter who is on the schedule, it's going to be a battle, and they have to be ready to play. Stout and River Falls, as the final 2 non-conference games, are very, very worthy opponents. They're outstanding teams and have traditionally been, high finishers in their conference, and so they're going to have to be ready to play, and they're going to have to be ready every single game. Scholastica's a new team in the conference, so we haven't really played them much in coming up to this year. So that one will be interesting, and it's coming right off of break. So hopefully that week of preparation is going to be enough to get them ready to go and take on the Saints. Nice to be home for it,
right?
But they got to be ready.
And as I looked at their team stats, their power play scoring is better than their opponents and pretty good at a 178 conversion percentage.
It sounds funny when you say 178 is good,
yeah,
but if you're scoring almost at 20% on the power play, that's very good. And
their 5-on-5 has not been as good, though.
5 has not been their strong suit, and certainly that's something that they need to focus on. And I know that coaches can't practice with the guys this week or into next week because of finals, but I'm sure that the guys will be out on the ice, captains practices, and just staying on the ice. And I know both Coach Egan and Coach Murray, that's the biggest concern as you head into a break is what are the players going to do when they're not here? They don't have the advantage of our rink right outside their doors. So what are they going to do? Are they going to be able to hook up with their junior team or with their high school team maybe and be able to get on the ice? Because that's going to be key is making sure that they don't come back on January 2nd and have to start all over again like they do at the beginning of the season.
Well, on the women's hockey side of things, they're off to a terrific start this season, 6-3, but New Year's Day is coming up fast. They have a home game, Donnie, on New Year's Day, and so you'll be up here working, so get to bed on New Year's Eve, would you?
What is Coach Murray doing, scheduling a New Year's Day game, and look who they play. Third-ranked UW Eau Claire. Eau Claire is 12-1 on the season. They suffered their first loss in a split non-conference split against Concordia on December 4th and 5th. So they are coming off of a split. They were ranked number 2 in the country. They did drop once after losing one of those 2 games to Concordia. So they're probably going to be hungry. And that was supposed to be a road game, Coach Murray, but UW Eau Claire said that they couldn't host because they didn't have enough people to work it. So we're going to host it here. I'm really looking forward to it because, as you said, we're playing very well. And I'm eager to see us play against one of the top teams in the country, because when we did that the first time against UW River Falls, if you remember, it wasn't a very good outcome. early in the season. I don't think that we had really kind of found our purpose yet. And we're playing so much better right now that I am excited to see that game, just to kind of, it's always nice to see where you stack up against some of the best teams in the country. And so it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks when they get back. They're very busy when they come back from break. You've got the January 1 game against Eau Claire, then you go to Stevens Point the next day. Then 2 days after that, they go out east. And they've got 2 games, one against Johnson and Wales, and then the other one against where are we at here? Against Worcester. I want to say Worcestershire sauce, but it's against Worcester. And Worcester is in their first year. This is their first year as a varsity program, and they're 7-2-2. So they're very talented. And so we talk about playing one of the top teams in the country. Now we're going to be able to see how we stack up against some of the better teams out east. And so, I'm looking forward to watching those games. I'm not traveling with the team, but looking forward to watching them online because 2 teams that we've never played before. And so it'll be real good to see how we respond to that. And just like the men, such a young team on the women's side, extended layoff for them, but I think that they come back right after Christmas. They're back on campus on the 26th, get ready for that January 1-2 non-conference doubleheader against Eau Claire and Stevens Point. So it's that same kind of thing where you've got to, where are we going to be at in terms of fitness-wise? Have they gotten on the ice? Are they ready to go? Because you've only got a couple days to get ready to be in game shape again. So hopefully they'll have skated some in this interim break.
As I look at their stats, there are a lot of young players at the top of the heap right now. Leading the way with 5 points is freshman Allie Erlaw, but right behind her is also freshman Sydney Polzine.
Yeah, so keep going. You've got Cass Kingston there and Nina Langley. Those 2 were the ones that scored all 4 goals in our sweep of St. Olaf. So no matter what we talk about when it comes to offense for the women's team, you're going to talk about freshmen because they have so many young people in the lineup and so many people that are really contributing. And then you look at the back end, and that's where that senior leadership is really showing, and that is in goal with Ari Ziakis and Jordan Keeley. With those 2 manning the pipes, you're going to be sitting pretty good because they are good enough that they can carry you. You look at St. Olaf, and I know we talked about this last week, but when you've got you score 4 goals and you win 2 games, that's pretty good. And to only give up 2 goals in those 2 games, that just shows you how good Jordan and Ari are playing right now. And for Coach Murray to be able to alternate them is really nice and something. It's a luxury that she hasn't had, just like the depth of the forwards and the D. She hasn't had that luxury in the past, and for her to be able to to have healthy scratches that are very talented is a nice luxury. Except then you have healthy scratches who are very talented and they want to play, and that's a tough decision. It's not easy for a coach to sit people when they're really good. Yeah. So it's a nice problem to have, but it also is very difficult on the coach to make some of those hard decisions.
The other thing too that is clear is that they're winning these low-scoring, close games. They've been outscored in total goals on the season, 22-17. Yet they're 6-3.
Yeah,
so that
and
tells you they're winning those low-scoring games.
That's very important. And you've got to figure in there the 7-0 game against River Falls, which kind of skews that a little bit. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have to learn how to win those close games. Those are important. And you look at the Olaf series as a great example. And you look at that second game, it was just 1-0 going into the third period, and Olaf scores to tie it, and yet we were able to respond. They didn't hang their heads and say, "Oh man, this we're in trouble." They just stayed the course, and Cass came through in overtime and gave them the 2-1 win. And I think that you have to learn that. You have to learn how to win those games. You have to learn how to make sure that you stay composed and not get rattled when things may not go quite the way you want them to go. One of the things you look at with this team, and I guess if I had a concern, it's whoever scores first wins. Mm-hmm. And so, how do you respond? How do you get over that when your opponent scores first? How do you make sure that doesn't mean that you're going to lose that game. So that's something that they have to be aware of, and they want to get off to a good start and get that first goal, play with a lead, and so far that's really been beneficial for them.
All right, let's switch over to basketball now, Donnie, and we'll start with women's basketball. We have a couple of games that we can recap from this past week, both home losses, as they lost to St. Olaf 72-63, and then fell to Bethel 65-51. Let's start out with that St. Olaf game.
The Cardinals are playing well. I mean, you hate to say that coming off of 2 losses, but they really are. It's putting together a complete game. They've really struggled to get off to a good start. Against Bethel, it was the same thing. You've got to be able to get your, it's kind of like we talked about with the women's hockey. It's you want to play with the lead. Get a lead in that first quarter and kind of build off of that. And so far they haven't been able to do that, and that's really kind of been their Achilles heel is they're constantly playing from behind. We had Coach Fano or Coach Foley on, and we talked about that. It's like, we got to get off to a good start and be able to build off of that. But yet, when you're constantly battling from behind, constantly trying to come back, it makes it difficult, and you run out of steam. And one person who isn't running out of steam, that's Brooklyn Paulson.
Yeah.
What a season she's having. What a senior year she's had. Congratulations to Brooklyn on being our, but the MIAC's Athlete of the Week last week. She averaged 20 points a game in those 2 games against Olaf and against Bethel, and that's a great honor. And for her, she just continues to put up points, and I think, as we talked to Coach Foley about, is that I think that her defense is really what has really improved over the last year and over her career. Is she's always going to score points because she's a great offensive threat, but her ability to pull down rebounds now has really improved, and it's something that I'm sure that Coach Foley is loving to see. Is just that that tenacity that she's shown, not just to score points, but also to help out defensively.
Yeah, obviously leads the team with 18 points a game, but what I find impressive, she's second on the team in assists. So that means the offense is clearly going through her, and she's sharing the basketball.
Right. Well, you look at Struveler and Gettleman and Brooklyn scored all the points in the first half against Bethel, and that's pretty interesting when only 3 players score, and those 3 carried the load, and I think that we talk about her. She's a great passer. If you watch her play, she is so well rounded, and she's on the court all the time, and she should be, because she's that kind of, she's an impact player, and I know that Coach Foley gives her minutes to rest, but I bet you he just wishes he could just keep her out there for the whole game, and I think that this team obviously is going to go as she goes, but she's the best right now. She's the best player in the conference.
Yeah. She
leads not only St. Mary's but also the conference, and she leads the conference by more than 2.5 points a game. So I mean, it just shows you what kind of a dominating scorer she is, and is just really fun to watch.
Yeah, and Jada Biermeyer has chipped in as well and kind of gives them that inside presence that they need. So it is a well-rounded team.
Yeah,
they
and as
just
Coach
need some
Foley
breaks
said,
here.
as he said, those 2 seniors are providing that leadership not only on the court but off the court as well. And I think that is something that they need to continue to have, is just that that leadership from them, and it's very important. You've got such a young team that you need to have that leadership. You need to show them, because when we get to the grind and they start playing Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, for weeks on end, the younger people are gonna have to learn what that's like, because you don't always see that in high school.
It's a long season.
It's a long grind.
Our final winter sport to talk about is men's basketball, and they also had 2 games this past week: a 3-point win over St. Olaf, and then a 12-point loss to Bethel.
Yeah, and we were supposed to have Coach Fano on the program today, but we ran into a little snafu with the rain and getting ready for a break and getting ready for their trip. So Coach Fano will be on for sure next year when we get back to the Cardinals Nest. But yeah, they picked up they needed that win against St. Olaf. That was a big win. Anytime you win on the road, it's a big win. Unfortunately, they weren't able to replicate that against Bethel. Bethel's a very talented team, and I think that it was one of those games that we've played so many close games, and this is the first time that they kind of let it get away from them. And Bethel kind of they just didn't. St. Mary's didn't have the ability to get back into it down the stretch, and they've done that so many times this year that you just kind of waited for it. You just knew, come on, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and it just, unfortunately, that time it just didn't happen. They weren't able to, to get over that hump, so to speak. But if you're going to talk about St. Mary's men's basketball, you got to talk about Raheem Anthony.
Oh, goodness!
What a player he is.
Well, you had mentioned on the women's side, Brooklyn Paulson may be the best player in the conference. Same thing on the men's side. He may be the best player in the conference.
Absolutely. Now he's not the leading scorer in the conference, but I would put Raheem up against anybody in the conference, and he is just. There's no question that when coaches scout and when they plan for St. Mary's, it's okay. How are we going to stop Raheem? And I don't know if you can. I mean, he's averaging 22 points a game, which is just unbelievable. And he's got a very nice touch from outside. He can bring the ball inside. He's a great passer as we
he leads them in assists with 16.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so he can do it all as well. And unlike many, unlike prior than Coach Fano, because he's really changed that, but he has such depth. He really does have a lot of depth, and it's not just young people. Caden Freetley's having a great season so far, and I just think that you look at having Kareem Anthony Bello back for a fifth year is certainly an advantage, and we get another year watching him play with his brother, which is very fun to do. And so I mean the depth that he has and the ability to play a lot of people. And he's got some people that are coming into some roles that they probably weren't used to. Owen Ziegler is really showing up as an outstanding three-point shooter and giving some quality minutes. And Nick Falls is doing the same. And so, Bruce Lockwood coming off the bench is doing a nice job. So you've got a lot of pieces. And I think that as this season continues to progress and Coach Fano figures out how to put those pieces together, it's gonna be St. Mary's making a run for, if nothing else, a home court playoff berth.
I'm glad you brought up Owen Ziegler. He's one of my favorite people on campus. I know him as a student, always says hello, always has a smile on his face, just a great guy.
Well, I watching him in the Best in the Nest, he was there, St. Mary's three-point shooter. He's just phenomenal.
I mean, he really can shoot.
He does have a knack for it, and he's really kind of stepping into a role and getting by far more minutes than he's used to, and he's taking advantage of it. It's just like any sport you talk about. Coach gives you an opportunity. It's what are you going to do with it? And Owen is stepping up and saying, hey, I want to be a part of this, a part of this puzzle, and I want to be a part of this, this program moving forward in terms of taking it to the next level. And you need that from your players. They've got to continue to do that. And right now, they've got some time now. They're going to. You talk about a team that's going to hit the ground running coming back from break. Holy cow! They they head to Las Vegas for 2 games against 2 very good teams in Superior and then Mary Hardin Baylor, which is currently ranked 19th in the country. And then they've got 3 games that following week. You've got Crown on Monday, and you've got Gustavus on Wednesday, and then you've got another game after that. And so it's like Carleton is here. So they've got 3 home games over break after coming back from Vegas. So they've got 5 games in a short amount of time. So they're going to have to be ready. I know Coach Fano probably really wanted that game against La Crosse just to get another game in before they get this grind of so many games, 5 games in a short amount of time. So they're going to be going
right, and they're 3-4, so they're right there to kind of make a big statement the second half of
absolutely
the season.
And I bet you we could ask our producer, and he would say that this is definitely a team to watch, and 3-3 in the conference. They are going to be in that mix for, I think, absolutely a top 2, if not a top 4 for sure, if not a top 2 position in the MIC playoffs. They are that good. It's just a matter of them putting it all together. And right now, you take that 3-3 and you say, you know what? You've had some ups and downs. It's time to start bringing that roller coaster up to the top and keeping it up there.
Yeah. Donnie, just about a minute left here. As you look back at this fall and winter season, what stands out to you? What's one of your best memories?
The best memory has to be the run that the women's soccer team made. What a phenomenal season they had in getting all the way to the MIC tournament semifinals. And I look back at that game, and they were down 3-0. And man, there was no reason that could not have been tied and gone into overtime. They were that close. They got it to 3-2, and they had so many opportunities to tie it and just weren't able to get it. But what a great performance! I'm so happy for all of them. You've got Alexis being the defensive player of the year for the conference, and it just was by far the highlight of the fall seasons, and that's not taking anything away from anything else that any of our sports did, but for them to succeed, get to the tournament for the first time in program history, and then get to the semifinals, kudos to them, and really a great way to cap off our fall sports.
All right, well, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest. Donnie and I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2022 here on the Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching.